Good evening. This is 76.
63, climb maintain 13 down.
13,000, Tempo 63.
63, contact the New York Center 128.3.
28-3, Tempo 63, good day. Hello, Captain.
On Approach is a flight sim and aviation enthusiast podcast featuring the week's top user-submitted stories and news from around the world. Welcome to a very special birthday week show, everybody. It is my birthday week, and I'm going to announce it to the world right here. The special week. The most specialist of special weeks there is. The week that is my birthday. And I'm feeling really old, so I'm trying very hard not to feel old, so yeah.
I'm anti-birthday.
Are you?
Happy birthday, Edgin, you old bastard.
At midnight tonight, baby. I'm turning 41. And so the crazy thing about it, right, is like I made, so at 40, I didn't accept 40. Like, I've skipped over 40. I've never been 40. I'm not 40 right now. And I didn't accept it. And so finally, coming up on 41, I decided I'm going to start to look through, what to expect, right? The human body changes, it evolves, you start to get old, feel old, etc. And so I watched the YouTube video on what to expect when you're 40, right? Because I'm just coming to terms with the fact that I'm 40, going on 41. And it was like, you can no longer do the things you used to do, even though you think you can. Riding a skateboard is more difficult than you remember it being. Hair starts to grow in really weird places, and they showed this close-up of this guy's ear, right? And there's like hair, growing out of his ear and stuff. And sadly, I was like, man, I found like one hair, like right around there.
Did you also find yourself looking at stupid shit on Etsy and Pinterest?
Yes, that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And it's like 40 is for a male, right? And they're very different between male and female ones. But for a male, like 40 is also kind of like halfway through your life. Like for a male, and general expectation of life for a male, like you're kind of halfway through your life. That's like the middle point. And so it's the beginning of what people refer to as the midlife crisis, which if you assume would be 50, but it's actually 40 for a male. That's your midlife crisis. So, you'll start looking at Corvettes and other sports cars, even though Corvettes are the cliche, right? But they're like, there's something attractive about that to you now, because either you did not have it or you had it so long ago. And you definitely don't have it now if you went down the path of like dad mode or, giving everything to your career. They talk about career. 40 is the age where you realize, oh my God, what have I done by starting my own business? This will never end. So it's like by thinking that you started your own thing, you actually start to realize, holy crap, like it's just never going to end. I will work forever. Or you realize just how much you have worked and not been able to do, right? So you're reminded that like you haven't traveled, you haven't explored, you haven't done all those crazy things. Most divorces happen at around this age because you start looking at the ladies with the red dress on, right? It's like all of a sudden the attention span shifts and you start to realize the things that make you happy, don't make you happy. But it was all over the place, and it was kind of gloomy. I have to say, it was kind of gloomy. So I'm trying to not let it be gloomy, and hopefully celebrating the fact that I have a full head of hair, and and that I can still comb it and it does what I want. I don't know. Let's look at the bright side of 41, Edson. Let's look at the bright side.
I think you messed up by even going to YouTube to look at videos about that. Yeah.
Right? Oh, you know what? I did it in incognito mode, if that helps. I wanted to make sure that I wasn't gonna sway my Amazon results and stuff. All of a sudden now I'm getting like little blue pills recommended to me, and yeah. Oh, and they talk about that too. They're like, "Yo, that happens right around 40." They're like,
"No, that's a bunch of
no
bullshit." I'm going on 48 in about 2 weeks, and that ain't no goddamn problem. Because it's kind of like this. Knock on wood.
Also, Mr. Edson, also
yes.
At 40, it's recommended by the people in the know to go and get the examination.
Oh, dude, they 100% touched on that. The examination.
That's
Not
something that
looking forward to that.
Well, that's it. I've had it done. Once, twice? Definitely haven't once, maybe twice. When I left the military, you get an end of service kind of physical and all. And of course, for any male, the thought really screws with you. But if you get over that and you think about it, it is a necessary evil. You know, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it is a big health risk. It is a big health risk if you don't.
Do you know what gets me though? Is they got this medical science. They got these big machines. They can put you in, scan your brain, your internal organs and stuff. Yet they still need that to do that.
Everybody hold the finger up and just say happy birthday, Edson. Happy birthday. You can. But
I think it's a conscious thing in the science. Realm. Like, don't ever research that part because it's still gonna happen.
I'll leave that question with the chat as well. Leave your advice at 40. Leave me some of your golden nuggets, please. For those of you that may have surpassed that number already, drop some notes of wisdom in the chat in the comments for me, please. Cheer me up. But so Kevin, you're anti birthdays?
I don't celebrate. Well, I removed my birthday from anything. Like, I don't care. I don't want to be remembered. I don't want to. I don't want myself. I don't want to remember how old I am. Yeah. It's just a distraction. I can spend some good times with friends like year long. It doesn't have to be my birthday. I hate it. I just hate it.
It's all on how you perceive time and all. And a lot of people subscribe to the, when you hit 40s and your 50s that, you have that crisis or you start reflecting. I had my first thoughts about some of these things when I was 27. I had a huge, it rattled my brain at 27. So, I really don't think about it. The whole birthday thing, just a couple days ago, my wife had asked me what I wanted to do. I'm like, I don't know. I haven't even thought about it. Like I said, mine's coming in about 2 weeks. And I don't even really think about it. I don't feel like, oh my God, midlife. I can't, because I can still do 24-hour plus days. I can still do it. I can still sleep on 3-4 hours a day. So, it's all, you just got to look at it as what you've been doing through the course of your time, walking on this marble, and what you've done. Looking at it, I mean, I've done a shit ton of things, so there's not many things I feel that I haven't accomplished that I still need to do. There are things that I know I will never probably be able to do, like go to Egypt. That's
I know I want to see the damn pyramids.
That was an opportunity, but
we always have Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, there is that, right? There is that.
That's beautiful advice, Noodle, and I think that is the way, right? Like, you look back and you think about all the things you have done, bro. There's just about nothing that I wanted to do that I haven't done that didn't involve travel, right? Travel stuff, of course, it's a big marble. It takes a lot to be able to see everything you really want to see, but like actual doing of things from video editing to DJing in nightclubs to racing cars on tracks to, flying an airplane to this, to that. Like, I've done it all and I absolutely love it. Like, I love what I have accomplished already. And shit, I still hold on to some of it, today, right? Like, all the vinyl collection that's back there, that's stuff from my era of DJing in nightclubs that'll probably never happen again. Although you never know. Maybe I'll put on, put on my Daft Punk helmet and go throw a street show one day, but
You know, because of you, Edson, I'm starting to collect vinyls.
Yeah.
I started buying vinyls.
And you bought one here when we were at Fry's. What was your first vinyl? It was...
That was a Fleetwood Mac's Dream album.
And an amazing album. So is it time for a turntable for you now? Because you don't have one, right?
I don't have one.
And you want fidelity. We have to start hunting. There are a lot of really cool options out there now. There really are some cool options for turntables. I mean, obviously, the trusty old industry standard, still to this day, 1200s, MK2s by Techniques. You literally cannot beat them. These are M1 Abrams of the music world. These are tanks.
Absolutely.
But when you want to get like into kind of the artisanal world of sound, there are some beautiful turntables out there today that are like, in a way, they're art as well. Plexiglass platforms and I have a friend who's a big audiophile, big vinyl guy, and his turntable, I think he spent something like $3,000 on it, and the arm alone was a separate another £1,000 or something. Wow, dang, that's
carbon
wild,
fiber kind of shit. Yeah,
God
that's
damn,
wild.
Damn.
Well, we'll keep your collection going, man.
And
we'll keep
he sits there at home with his open back Grados on and just listens to music.
Yep,
Nice.
That's the way.
That's the way to do it, man. That's the way to do it.
Whatever floats your boat, right? Anyone have anything for the run-up today?
Yes.
Okay,
I do. Right. I've got to shout out. I've got a question for the community. As you know, I did an around the world tour in the A2A 170 Comanche last year. I'm going to say last year because I pretty much had a year off. But I'm planning on doing another around the world trip. But this time, I'm going to do it in the 747.
Oh, come on.
In both. Come on. Wait.
Come on.
Wait. In both the Zebo mod and the PMDG, and I'm going to alternate it week for week. But what I need from the community, this is what I'm going to need to ask the community, is I need a route. A viable route that's going to give me some interesting landings, some interesting scenery, and also I need a paint job for both the Zebo mod and the PMDG, which must match. So somebody's got to paint both. They've got to be the Sparky's tour plane, because one, I don't have the time to do it. I don't have time to do planning. I'm working all the bloody time, as Edson knows. So yeah, if anyone out there can help me make a livery for both planes and maybe source a route for the tour, I'd be much grateful, very grateful. And the sooner we can get that done and in, the sooner we can start doing the tour.
What you got, Mr. Noodle?
Wow, that's pretty ambitious. Just more of a PSA. So last week, we did our show, and I read some of the comments and all. And just as a reminder, viewers, keep in mind this little section right here, the run-up, is random musings, our thoughts, things that happen through the course of the week, stuff we see on TV and on live, and what you overhear and what you read. It's basically a mini open forum of just random things. So if we happen to talk about the weather, it's a random musing. Remember, it's a run-up. We're just talking about whatever comes to mind. So there's no need to, browbeat about, oh my God, they were talking about the weather. Again, just please remember, as a PSA, this is just random musings before we get into what we would like to discuss in the show. So that's it.
A good one.
That's it.
And it's this rapport that kind of helps the flow of the show itself, right? If there's no connection, on approach isn't the same.
Exactly.
There's got to be a connection. Kevin, what you got?
Don't worry, chaps. We're going to get to the advertised content.
You know what you should do? is you know those old Disney VHS that have ads before. for other
Oh,
movies?
yeah.
And then they have now your main presentation.
There you go.
I don't have anything for the run-up, so I challenge you to find this and include it now.
We're gonna start to do some ads. I want to talk about a cool mod that I just did to the case. I picked up what is called a GPU backplate. It's a custom one. The company is V1 Tech. I'll drop the link down here somewhere. Really happy with the outcome of my custom LED backplate for the GPU. It's essentially a panel that sits on top of the GPU. You can get it custom cut with a logo. You can get standard Nvidia logos and stuff like that, and lots of game logos as well. Or you can do a custom printing on it also. I went personally with like a very Tron-like theme. So I've got kind of a circle and then like a series of zigzag, circuit lines. And the LEDs that are built into it are moving those lines like rays coming out the back. And it's all adjustable and assignable and RGB and a whole nine. But really good quality. So I want to give 2 thumbs up to V1 Tech. They have other really cool products as well. This is not a sponsored message. This is just me sharing more cool stuff with you guys. Go and check them out.
Works on the RTX.
Works on, so you select your, yeah, it works on the RTX too. So you select your video card manufacturer, then the model, then the exact like build of video card. So the backplate perfectly matches the exact outline of your card. And it's magnetic. You put the magnets right onto the screws, plop it on, you're done. Install in minutes, bro. Let's get to the show.
Main presentation.
This week, in the #1 spot, Mr. Catterly won. I think that was a premonition. I think he was meant to be in the #1 spot, so he changed his name from just Catterly to Catterly 1. GG Catterly, congratulations. Thank you for some excellent posts. Actually, the one that took you to the top is a topic in this week's show, so thank you. Vitus in #2, Darren Vox #3, Dylan C #4. #5 spot, S. Simmons 1958, followed closely by Gibbon, Flying Jock, Angeli 662, Pincom 2016, you're aging bro, update the name, you're aging, and Tomcat UK. Thank you guys. Without your submissions to the show of topics, news, discussion pieces, we've got nothing to talk about here. So we appreciate you. Let's keep the cycle going. Submit threads for next week. Let's get at it. And now to the top news. The first story submitted by Mr. Canuck Shaw. And I mean, this had to make it on the show. It was such a hot topic in the Discord. The Discord was blowing up on release day. Ladies and gentlemen, the GeForce RTX graphics reinvented, new cards by Nvidia. The 2000 series. RTX 2080 Ti. You know none of it?
I have seen nothing of it. Well, I've seen like posts here and there, but I have no specs and no idea. So you guys will have to educate me.
No worries.
On that topic.
No worries. Let's go have a peek at the source. First off, we can look at the card. That's a sexy card. That is a beautifully designed, absolutely sexy card, and I want to see that in my case. Just based on looks, I want to see that in my case. It's unfortunate that the fans usually end up down, right? Unless you do what's called a vertical mount on it, and then you can actually see the fans against the side of the case. But pricing is in starting at $599 for the Founders Edition. For the 2070. And then the Founders Edition 2080 coming in at $800. And then the 2080 Ti coming in at $1,200.
Free shipping.
And free shipping. Yeah. But not for the cheap one though, you notice?
Nope.
Not for the cheap one. So we'll get to the specs, man. Let's get to the specs because that's what this is all about. And then we can talk about what we're gonna do as consumers. RTX. Why RTX? So RTX is their code for ray tracing. In the world of 3D and 3D modeling, ray tracing basically is the lighting tech that sells something as being convincing or not. It's the nitty-gritty detail, as in reflections on every single surface, right? So when you see a Hollywood movie, if it didn't have ray tracing, you know, it would not be as convincing as it is when it does. Some of the demos are absolutely incredible. I will pull up a video here in a moment as well. But ray tracing now with these cards is able to be done live and in real time. So as you're playing a video game and you're in a tank that is shooting fire out of it, every single building's window is reflecting that. Every puddle in the ground, every car beside you to the left, above, its textures are reflecting. Even though that flame may not be in frame and you're looking at just the reflection, it's still reflecting in live time. Pretty incredible stuff, and we'll see some of that in the videos as well. Overall specs, this is the meat of this conversation. The GTX 1080 Ti ends up down here, below 20 trillion RTX ops, or the ability to process ray tracing operations. These new cards, the entry level one comes in at 40 plus trillion, then 60 plus trillion, and 80 plus trillion. They're saying this is the biggest jump in advance in video cards in history, is the claim right now.
Yeah, that's what they say.
So this is what it feels like for the 1080 Ti, for the 1080 Ti owners, right? It's like your loyal companion. All of a sudden, there's the lady in the red dress, and you're like, hey. This is what the market feels like. And this is what the market is doing already. This is a 1080 coming in at $222 brand new with warranty.
Where was this posted?
This one is...
Was that on Amazon?
It was on
on
eBay. And their Aviator Moser has been posting a ton of these because he's on the hunt. He's on the hunt. So I'll pull up the video and we can all share our thoughts while we watch. One of the first games that's gonna handle RTX tech is Battlefield 5. This is a demo. Pay close attention to the eyeballs. Look really closely at the fire in his eyes. Do you see it?
Yeah, it's live reflection, and it's like multi-layered as well. And the skin is too. I've seen one of those demos before. It's not the first time that has been accomplished, but it does take a lot of performance, a lot of hardware to be able to compute that. But that's amazing.
And the crazy thing is, like, that is not even on frame, right? Like, that's happening somewhere else in the game.
Yeah.
So it's off frame, but it's rendering out.
That's all very well and good, but when I'm fragging somebody in Battlefield, I'm not looking at their fucking eyes.
Haven't you ever heard the term, don't fire until you see the whites of their eyes?
Yeah, right.
Look at the ground. Look at the ground.
Well?
Dude, textures, this is just bananas.
Yeah, but that's not anything new particularly. I've seen that in Project. No, that's new. Yeah. Yeah, 24 like that. Okay. Fuck it, I've said nothing.
Look at the hood emblem and how it independently is giving its reflection and its.
Yeah, but at the same time, pause it there. Look at the reflection in the light on the front right.
Yeah.
Right? There's a reflection of an explosion within the light that shouldn't be there because it's shadowed by the rest of the light.
Well, maybe it's reflecting off of a building over here on the right.
Maybe it is.
Could be.
To me, it looks like a glitch, but maybe it is. I think there's still a few issues with 3D renders that, yeah, will take some time. But if that's live rendered, it's good. It's good.
So I love also the difference in the textures. Sorry, in the materials as well, right?
The bump.
Like, yeah, the bump, and you can see that the chrome trim reacts differently. So that's with RTX off. And that's the difference, right? Is that it has to be at this kind of optimal reflection angle, which is what we're used to. We're used to like seeing reflections as if it's a game of billiards, right? It's directly reflected. But with RTX, it's with ray tracing, it's environmental. It's everything that is within line of sight from that is going to reflect accordingly. I mean, to see all of this on the ground, look at the ground, right? The wet, you see the glow. It's just crazy.
Yeah, the blend of blurriness and sharpness on the ground is, yeah, that's ridiculous.
Like, can you imagine this being in-game? Can you imagine our Sims one day being able to take advantage of this type of technology? All of a sudden, our world becomes a million times more real. Look at the glass reflection.
Yes. That's amazing.
Some of the bonuses, since I'm sure we're going to talk about different things about this. So on this, you're not going to notice this benefit in, say, a shooter. You will, but you won't. You won't pay attention to it. And I feel the vast majority of people who are going to do FPS gaming, when they pick up this card and turn this effect on, you're not going to care when you're in an FPS kind of shooter environment. It's cool, yes, but you're not going to notice this. I think the biggest bonus with this kind of detail is in a single player experience. That is where you're truly going to enjoy it. Because again, if you're in a shooter,
as a gamer and somebody who does first person shooter, if as you know, if you're competition, if you're a competition guy, you turn everything down so you get maximum amount of frames. You get the maximum amount of ping on your server, so you can get that kill.
Okay, so here's where I think you're wrong. What if you can see your enemy in a reflection of a glass, or under a train, or
you see his gun
anything.
flash? You see the muzzle flash.
Well, that was another piece I was going to, as far as in this environment when you're online. So that will help when you can see your movement of a person. If you're hiding behind, like where that guy was in the tank, and look into the reflection of the car doors, seeing movement, bonus, absolutely. Absolutely, that's going to help you. If you're going to be able to see something bounce, let's say if I throw a frag at you and you can see that thing coming around the corner, or it's going to bounce off that car, and if you're paying attention, then you can backpedal.
Look at the warm sunlight. Like, can we just talk about how beautiful that warm, reflected sunlight is? That's so real.
Yeah. The light is reflected off the building and
off the
into
building.
The car.
Yes.
Right. So there's a lot of pros and cons to this, but I feel, again, in a competitive environment, say like in Battlefield 5, which is going to take advantage of this, it's going to be great, yes, but I feel the vast majority of people will probably turn this down and or off, because we don't know how it's really going to perform as of yet. So again, I feel the biggest benefit, and those who are going to appreciate it more, are those who do more single player environment games and or a non-twitchy, shooty kind of gaming environment where you can really kick back and just go, holy shit, this is awesome.
Right.
Yeah, I can see an issue where in terms of
Look at this wide
if you have the better card, oh my god.
Dude.
If you have the better card and you have that advantage, it could be a competitive advantage, and an unfair advantage, to be frank, because someone else might not be able to get those reflections.
That's true too. That's
but
a good
again, the number one thing when you're talking about a shooting environment like this is your latency. That's number one. Does dialing back your frames and help? Sure, but number one, you can have the heftiest rig on the freaking marble, but if you have a shit connection, that's not going to mean much. So,
yeah, but if you have a $1,000 card that's 80 whatever number
$1,200
throw
card
at the wall, yeah. Well, that's US dollars as well. In Canadian, it's going to be even more expensive. So thanks.
I know, and make sure you tell all your friends that, because I'm going to pick up a few and I'm going to drive across the border with them strapped to me. I'll let you know how that goes, by the way, at the border. I'll strap them to me, and we'll go and just resell some 2080 Ti's in Canada. I think there's about $600 to be made for every card.
Want to buy a card?
yeah, exactly. Want to buy a card?
So overall, I think what we're seeing here is great. Now, when it comes to the flight simming environment, I think, like I was saying, that is a type of quote gaming that you can really see the advantages of what this card is going to allow developers to do. Because in a flight sim environment, it's a slower pace. If you're unprepared, if you're an X-plane, whatever, you're going to be able to really take in the view. So this definitely is going to be a boon for sure, because you can really sit in your aircraft of choice and look around and externals and go, wow, this is what I've been looking for in my simming environment.
So I love how they used pre-rendered video, and they especially say in-engine renders
is the key word. That's the key word, right? So this is in-game engine. These are some of the titles that are coming soon, and I think it's important to remember that soon is almost always in quotes, right? Almost always. So we could be talking a few months. We could be talking a year out.
I have a question.
Yes.
Do you guys think that those reflections will be an in-game microtransaction?
No.
Or a DLC?
Oh, that would suck, bro. That would suck so bad.
EA. I mean, it's EA. So.
But not only EA. No, these are other developers as well.
Yeah.
They're calling it the Holy Grail. They've referred to this card as the Holy Grail.
Yeah, and
ray tracing.
Ray tracing has been, such a hard thing, as I understand it, to reproduce with the tech over the years. And the president here, I can't think of his name, did say it's taken 10 years to get to this point and all. And I tend to agree with that from what he said. Well, you have to, because hey, I don't manufacture these cards. So
actually, the ray tracing cards have been around for a while, but they tend to be for very high-end graphics machines. I know companies like Disney have been using them to render films and stuff for a long time, but it's the first time they're actually coming to a consumer market.
So to turn back time a little bit, Nvidia did toy with offloading this type of tech onto a separate card. If you'll remember PhysX, that was another technology where they kind of like they wanted to offload this type of processing onto a second card and hopefully get people to buy this kind of add-on card. It didn't work. No. So my initial reaction was, wow, I hope our 1080 Ti's can like take advantage of this with an additional card. Not the case. They didn't go down that path a second time. They just released it as the 2080 Ti. So you have to have this card to have that level of ray tracing.
So,
go ahead. Well, I was going to say that I'm just going to kind of jump forward onto the meat of some of this stuff. A lot of it he was saying is, developers don't have to worry about an SDK, this, that, and the other. Here's the standout issues for me on this. What I can appreciate about this card is, number one, everything that a lot of the developers have to do, if I understood this properly, they had to use separate software to make these things happen. But now, all of these things are on board. It is the hardware that's doing this. And that's what impressed me overall about the architecture of this card. Whereas all these things that are done are now on board.
Yeah.
And to me, that is the most significant piece. Is it is now on board on this card. You don't have to have an SDK and everything else. It's kind of more or less it's on board. It's going to, as they're saying, real-time processing of this. So I think that's the biggest piece, in my opinion, on that. And earlier in the slideshow and all, he was showing the cards that been doing this, the Quadro RTX.
Yeah.
Where these have been in these multi-$1,000 systems, and now this one card can do what a series of these cards have been doing. That is incredible to me. So when he states that this is a huge leap, it is. When you think about a bank of GPUs that have been doing this, now one can do this. That is huge. That is huge.
it will require some optimization, and I can already see, well, we've seen in the community, everyone and their mom is jumping on this card. But the real benefit for us requires that the developer of the platform, which is Lockheed or Laminar or Aerofly, they gotta modify their systems to take advantage of this. It's just It's not just like you're plugging it in your computer and it's gonna do all the magic. It's just not how it works. Absolutely. So I'm waiting on a build from Laminar to start working on some visual effects for X-Plane, and he was like, well, because Nvidia, I spoke to Ben, and he was like, well, because Nvidia just threw this announcement here, I gotta tweak a few things in there to modify the platform. So I'm like, yeah. So I don't know if there's anything coming on X-Plane. I don't have any specifics, but I would assume that they're working on embedding this, because there's no reason why they wouldn't.
Right.
And I don't know about Lockheed, but I would imagine they're moving in that direction, but I really hope they do. All
right, from the top, right? 1080 Ti owner, will I upgrade? Initial thought was I could sell my 1080 Ti, get a good price for it. I've got the box, the packaging, etc. I've got the hybrid version, so it's got a little step up already, holding nice value. I could sell it, add some money, and get this. Do I want it? I want it. But I will not be upgrading for two reasons. Number one, the 1080 Ti values have pretty much tanked. Number two, it doesn't really make sense for me. The whole concept of here are the games coming soon, I can easily see waiting one entire revision when all the games are taking on this tech and jumping on the 3 series, for example, right? So the 1080 Ti is an absolute beast of a card. An absolute beast. Crysis, no problem. Far Cry, no problem. Forza Horizon, no problem. GTA, no problem. Flight Sim, no problem. The beast of a card. So I have no true reason to jump into this card yet as a 1080 Ti owner. What do you think, Sparky? What do you have, and what are you thinking?
Well, as you know, I just got the 1080, and it's a beautiful card. Love it to bits. For me, this card, I would wait until it comes out of the reference cards and the third parties have got hold of it. The prices will come down. You'll have, you know, the wind force option with the 3 fans and water cooling and all the other good stuff that will come with it later on down the line. So I would wait until those other reference cards comes out. Those other cards come out.
Good one, good one. Kevin.
I'll wait for Rob Ainscott to get a benchmark of it. And if it's worth it, yeah, he's going to be the one that I'll trust, not Nvidia.
Why would... But benchmark in flight sim? Is that the only purpose for you?
It's the only purpose that I use it. Because all, like... everything else that I play, which is Planet Coaster, City Skyline, Forza, whatever, I have a 1080 Ti. Handles it like butter. There's nothing like I don't need more.
But a 1080 Ti in flight sim is at rest too, bro. Like my shit's barely hitting 50% utilization. So like your benchmark is already clear. Yeah, it's like
that's why I'm saying I'm gonna wait for because it could be a better card. I don't know. Like maybe there will be some games, but
or maybe the ray tracing comes.
Maybe I don't know. It maybe like P3D has an update with PBR. We don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
It might, you know, it might be better. Yeah. We don't know. But I want to see clear benchmark on the P3D and X-Plane side for me to know if I upgrade or not.
Noodle, what you got and what are you thinking?
Well, for me, I'm still running a 980 Ti, and I have no problems with anything to include VR. The things I've been reading about this, there's going to be a lot of people who are going to drop their 1080 Ti's for this because why? They keep up with the Joneses. They want to be first on it. I personally, I've been preparing to get a 1080 Ti and then this drops now in my lap. The price points are no different than what we've seen for the past few years. Ti line, normally $1,000. The non-Ti, you know, a couple hundred less than the Ti line. So the price points are the same. So it really doesn't make much of a difference. The problem that I have, and which is keeping me from doing a pre-order like yesterday, is this is generation 1 of something new. And I tend to never buy anything Gen 1. What you're saying, you know, what they displayed about games that are coming, these are going to be, in essence, the initial games that are supporting this. And the vast majority of those I don't even play. Will it be a benefit? Yes. In some way, shape, or form. But if we take away the ray tracing piece, I want to see when these cards the videos come out, like Kevin was saying, with who's they're benchmarking and they're testing it with known games and this, that, and the other, what the hard numbers are. I think it'll be a good idea for those who don't have a 10 series, but I'm on the fence. I might just go with a 1080 Ti because let's remember this, people. There is really nothing that's taking full advantage of the 1080 Ti. Like you were saying, Edson, you're maybe hitting 50% and prepared. I'm sure other people are probably seeing the same things in more graphically intensive games where their 1080 Ti's are just going, I'm jogging. So I don't know. I'm in the air on this, though. The price point, again, it's a normal price point. I might go ahead and get it. Maybe just the 2080.
In wrap up, this is what I love about On Approach, right? So if you really pay attention to everyone's thought, they've all been different, right? You got the guy that says, I want to play all the games now, and if I can't play them now, then forget it. I'll wait a revision where I can play all the games that have it. You've got another guy that's like, well, my 1080 Ti is doing great, but I'm gonna wait and let this chip fall into the hands of all the other RTX, manufacturers that are going to come out with their versions of it using the Nvidia chip. You've got another guy that says, I have a specific task that I do with my card. I'm going to wait for reviews from the first guy that buys them. And then you've got Noodle coming in with a completely different viewpoint again, which is, I'm in the position of upgrading now. And I can go two ways. I can get this card because I'm ready to buy a new card and it's time and it's skipping a generation and it's all good. Or I can get a damn good deal on the 1080s right now. Better than I would have ever been able to get before. And I'm not diving into a card on its first release. And that's some good advice. I think that the viewers will all fall into one of these categories if they've had the temptation. And hopefully we can shed some light to the different viewpoints and let people make their own decisions. But by all means, share in the chat what you think you're going to do. Diagma DPPL 1804 Flight Simulator Panel. First look. Hello Flight Simmers, coming out of Flight Sim Expo, I was pumped to add more hands-on realism to my sim. I met several great people and companies all building hardware for our simulation niche. After much debate on which company and panel to go with, I decided to go with the Diagma for my first panel. This is my first look and review of the Diagma Flight Simulator panel with the panel builder software. I want to start off by saying that Azat at Diagma was a pleasure doing business with. He was fast and responsive on any questions I had from before purchase through and after the purchase and delivery. Bravo. So
That's always good.
This is cool. And it registered in my mind that I saw this at the booth with the big TVs. And it's basically a hardware panel with actual knobs that tune over a very well picked out display. So you have
smart.
A combination of the physical and the virtual, right? You've got the switches and the, you know, the dip switches and the flips and the knobs, all of that. But you also have this kind of virtual display behind it. So it's narrow, takes up a little bit of desk space. You have flexibility with where you place it. In this case, he placed it to the side of his monitor. But if you have the right kind of desk setup, you could place this, you know, down below. Because if you're working with a TV up front, you can have this angled on your desk. And now you have your dials right in front of you. Looks like nice build. Those knobs are aluminum.
Yeah.
Really
yeah.
nice build.
I'm wondering...
Aluminium.
I'm wondering if they are push buttons, because you know the altimeter and those knobs generally in a Cessna cockpit like this, you have to push them and turn them, otherwise they don't react.
That's a good question.
I'm wondering, Caterly, if you can answer below, if they are push buttons, and what happens if you push a button that's at the top of the screen? Will the screen tumble down, or is it heavy enough that it stays in place? Curious to know. It looks very interesting, though. I like that.
I think a lot of that would be, it's going to be based on the monitor, how it's mounted. I think that's the biggest key, how it's mounted. You know, what if you're pushing on things, you know, if you have a monitor that's a really solid, large base, large footprint, that could be an issue. But somebody say like myself, where two of my four are on a mounting pole, that's not so much of a factor. So.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, it looks good. Yeah.
Nice.
That looks like the you know the gauges in the Mayday TV show.
Yeah.
Some of their virtual cockpits. They have screens in the background. It looks like that. I like it. That's so cool.
So that layer of knobs and dials and switches is run through a USB cable. So that's a simple USB connection out, and it sees it as, you know, additional input devices. Yeah. And this is a standard A2A 172 layout and some notes. So if anybody is looking to dive into something like this, make sure you head over to the show notes, click the link, drop any questions you want in there for Mr. Catterley. And hopefully he can answer some of those questions for you, since he has all the experience now.
I saw this, but I really didn't look at it, but I saw it at the expo. two things come to my mind, and I didn't look at price point and the size. Are these built in one size only? Because that's going to suck. Let's say if this is built to fit, say a 23-inch monitor as far as the display goes, and if you're running widescreens and you want this, that's kind of going to be an issue for those who like this and want it but don't have a monitor that will support this, which would mean you're going to add additional monies on top of whatever this costs and buying a monitor to support this. So I would also be curious if they make this in different sizes, because if not, as great as this product looks, it's going to suck for those who like, you know what, I don't want to buy another monitor to support it.
I do know that it was a very specific, well, there were a few recommended monitors, and there was a specific size, but that doesn't mean that that's all they offer. So a good question, a good question. Milviz King Air 350i previews and new aircraft announcement. How about that? New aircraft being announced by Milviz. Are you ready, Noodle?
What a shocker.
An extremely anticipated aircraft, the Milviz King Air 350i has been in the works for quite some time now. While we hadn't seen any new previews on the aircraft for a short while, Milviz changed that over the past few weeks with new previews of the Proline 21 that will be incorporated into the aircraft, as well as the Rex WX radar integration.
You know, this very picture, I'm almost very certain I saw the same picture of this 2 years ago. And talk about the same shit again about the Proline system being integrated. You know, like I've said before, Milviz, you make great products. But Christ, you know, another airplane.
I've had a 350. I've had a 350i for months now, because Coronado did it ages ago. Why do I want to buy another one?
This whole thing with the 350, like I was following it for the longest.
But it's Milviz. Systems, man. Systems, man.
About 2.5 years ago, they were talking about, you know, like the same sort of screenshots and working on the Proline system. I saw videos of people using it. I guess it was kind of like they were testing it and all.
All right, fine. Let's get off the 350i and go on to the little nugget shared here by our friends at FS Elite. When somebody asked any news on the SR-71 by chance, Milviz responded, "We're coding the unstarts." John says, "Free some coders for the F-105." And then Milviz responds, "The F-105 will be coded by Dutch, I hope, after the MiG-21. After the SR-7. Wait, MiG-21? That's new. Oops."
Oh, and then
we're
after
getting a MiG.
Then after the Avanti and after the C-130 and everything else.
Noodle's going. It is exciting though. A MiG, come on. A MiG-21.
I can do the day. I can do the MiG-21B.
You can chase me in your. You can chase me in your F-15.
Only if it's
the day they'll release it, P3D will be irrelevant.
I more likely won't be using prepared by that time.
Tropical Sim St. Thomas 2018 released for P3D. This one snuck under the radar for me. And I'm going to go and buy it immediately.
This is a great airfield. It's got that drop onto the runway. It's crazy, crazy, crazy approach.
New and improved over at Sim Market, coming in the $20 club. No brainer.
Bestseller.
No brainer. Of course it's the bestseller, right? Because we clicked on it, it's the bestseller.
But how is this going to compare to the current offering of what Fly Tampa has?
Do they
That'll
do
be a
St.
big
Thomas?
Yeah, it
No.
comes with- yeah,
They
don't do
pack
St.
comes
Thomas.
with St. Thomas. It does come with it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you have the
Oh.
big pack. Yeah, I have the big pack. And
Oh,
so, again,
right, Princess Juliana.
how is
pack.
this? Yeah, how is this going to compare? I mean, this is nice looking, but if I have the nice stuff that Fly Tampa did for this area, is it worth uninstalling the Fly Tampa for this one? Yeah,
You can't just uninstall one scenery out of the pack.
Yeah, you
No,
can
thank you.
remove it from loading.
Well, you can remove it, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying overall, is it worth uninstalling for, if you already have it from Fly Tampa to get this version? Is it worth it?
Good
you know,
question. We'll have to see.
that-
I'll let you know what I find, because I am
Yeah.
gonna buy this because it looks good and they have a swimming pool and umbrellas, and I like details like that. So yeah, I'll be scooping this up myself for sure. So I'll definitely report back on my thoughts. RF Scenery Building announces new project, Zagreb Airport, LDZA. Is that in Croatia?
Croatia.
Ooh, goodness, look at that terminal. Come
Looks
to
like a
Papa.
peanut.
Wow.
Peanut.
Looks like a peanut.
Yep.
That is beautiful. Whoa.
Kind of
Looks weird.
It
That's
takes
a
me back.
wild terminal.
It takes me back to what I was saying about stuff like this. It's good to see more terminals being done, airports, whatever, in different countries. But again, it still impresses me, the design. I mean, that is a very unique looking airport. I mean, that's incredible to me. That's just awesome, and I'm glad to see that there's designers out there who are, however they're deciding on this, they're flipping through the book and like, let's do that because that is an awesome looking airport. Let's
And I
do
like that too. I appreciate that in the selection process, rather than just sticking to the safe ones, to go with the stuff that is going to be perceived as art. Because ultimately, like, we don't want to buy a series of rectangular, structures. We don't. We want art in our sim. And there's nothing like flying into an airport like this and seeing this as a terminal off in the distance. It's just beautiful. It adds to the experience. So I'm with you, Noodle, on that 100%. More developers scout out these beautiful locations like this and do more of this around the rest of the world.
Yeah.
This is gorgeous. This will be a yes for me, man. Just on this one screenshot, like, I'm in. Over to some X-Plane news. UK 2000 Scenery announced Cardiff Extreme for X-Plane.
Extreme.
Yeah, you have to say it with a British accent. Cardiff. Cardiff.
How do you say it, Sparky?
How Cardiff? How
Cardiff.
do you make Cardiff?
Cardiff.
How the hell do you make Cardiff extreme? There's hardly anything there.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that because I was thinking the same shit. Yeah.
Well,
It looks empty, that's right.
Extreme.
Basically, it's a very small
Extremely
terminal, but it's got a huge British Airways maintenance building, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, people
Hey,
are
you
gonna
know what
go
the-
there.
look at that price though. Nice.
You know what's
$20
extreme
club.
about this? Here's the extreme piece, ladies and gentlemen. Extreme FPS, because there's damn near nothing here. That's what I see. It'll be extreme FPS. Yeah.
It looks
It's actually
good, though.
it's a cute little airport. Look at how many dynamic lights, because like that's where the gates are. The gates
but
are
don't
like
get me
right
wrong, it's
there.
beautiful.
Like, look, they're right there. It's just like these are the gates. They're cute little gates, baby little gates. They're like little dinky little gates.
I mean,
You have
it is
space
cool.
for you and two of your friends. flying
Yeah,
out.
yeah. Look,
It's
good.
cool.
Looks
and,
good though. Look at the windows.
And it's It's like what Sparks was saying. You know, I remember watching a series that had something to do with BA, and you know, they took a team out to this location to work on it, 747 and all. I think it was 747. So, I mean, it's great, but
this is actually it's worth getting because they do fly in 777s, 747s, and from Gatwick and Heathrow. So it's a very short 45-minute flight in a huge plane.
Yeah. And because UK 2000 actually makes really nice scenery, like really nice scenery. Their stuff is good, and it's really nice to see them porting over more and more stuff over to the X-Plane side of things. So X-Planers, jump on it. This may be a new name to you, but they do great stuff.
Yeah, they have a nice library for the UK area. So if you're looking for it, check out their library.
And it's extreme.
Extreme.
Another X-Enviro proof of concept video. Ladies and gentlemen, time for some more eye candy. This one looks like put together by our friends at Threshold. Let's have a look at what they're showing off. Dynamic snow test in X-Plane.
You've not seen it, right, Edson?
What is
I
this? That's default.
It's
that is
amazing.
not default.
That's not default.
Oh,
Look at that. Look at this. It's the start of something cool.
oh my. Oh my. Oh heavens.
That's amazing.
Dang. Okay, I see you explain.
Snow will accumulate depending on weather and location.
Yeah. So because you know,
wow,
it's a
look at it
proof of
fully
concept.
covered. Whoa, the rest of the mountains are getting some touch now.
Yeah. It's a proof of concept, right? It could take a lot of time for it to ship, but I'm going to be patient because this is what we want. And if they can figure out how to put snow on buildings, we're done.
Oh, that looks legit.
It's legit.
Dang.
Yes. No ETA.
Yeah, of course. That's amazing.
Enviro, you know how we talked about X Enviro the first time it released, right? We were very skeptical.
We're skeptical.
And the release, the release was not very smooth and stuff. But looking at where they're going, it's the right direction.
And now on to worth mentioning, as we are running out of time, we have talked too much. Let's get to it. Live stream of PMDG's upcoming 747-8. Now available. Check the show notes. This was done by our friend, Mr. Chewy. Go and check it out. Cool stuff. Skyforce 3D technical update number 2. Reminder, if you haven't done it, do it now. FSDG publishes a release schedule. If you're interested in their sceneries, head on over. FACT is coming soon. September, I believe it was. Airworthy Designs previews Princess Juliana Airport 1.5 update. And as Kevin says, there's some nice stuff to see there. Orbex releases KSAN San Diego International Airport V2. Free upgrade if you own San Diego. SimStarter updated to version 1.8.3.1. Navigraph data has received an update to cycle 1809. Traffic Global Early Access hits 1.1.0.7. And I want to say that by request, there are now Bolivian liveries in there. Thank you guys. Aerosoft planning to release the A3 2021 Professional in September. And last but not least, the Coronado C340 Flying Box. Wait, no. That's the other one. The 340-2 has been released for X-Plane. But missing in the news, that Flying Box by Coronado is now released as well for P3D. So head over and check that out. Guys, until next week, thank you so much for watching. I hope we didn't make you spend too much money with so many cool things in this show. Sky 5.
climb, maintain 13 down.
13,000, 063.
463, contact the New York Center, 128.3.
28 for Egypt,